So from experienced founders to experienced operators, getting them to, because a lot of the people who have received funding, like I talked to a lot of founders, last year I was talking to at least one startup a day at some point. And even those who have raised money haven't figured it out yet. And hiring people is just very expensive.
Yes.
And a lot of help that they need can be from people who have already done these things before, or people who know people who have already done these things before.
Definitely.
So like that whole building process, because when I see people make announcements and all of that, it doesn't move me. You can raise all of the money. I've seen people who've raised a whole lot of money and just burning it because they don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen people who have not raised much. PiggyVest, how much has PiggyVest raised? But look at how successful they are. They were also one of the people who went through Launchpad.
Yes.
Too as well. So it's a very big difference having a building mindset, from having just a funding mindset. So, which is what I'm trying to change in Africa now, try to get people to realize that, look, you know what? According to Naval says that startups are the Olympics of technology. So when you are going to the Olympics, you don't go, people don't pay people to go and compete in the Olympics. They build their capabilities, they train, and they go there to win. Okay. So, startups have to learn how to train, to get better and to win. That's what the building process does. A lot of people make this mistake that, okay, if I have money, everything is just going to be solved. No, that's the beginning of your problem. You have to deliver returns based on the money that you have raised. You don't have, like the luxury we had when we were starting of experimenting because somebody was giving, which is why for me now I'm very, very pro corporate venture capital in Africa, because corporate can allow people to experiment the way we're experimenting.
Exactly.
If we didn't have guys saying, if we didn't have Okomo, we would not be doing, we would not have known all what we need today. And those guys allowed us to do those things early. Even MTN too as well allowed us to be able to understand Africa and do a whole lot that ordinarily we would not have been able to have done, if we didn't get that opportunity. So that has been my story so far.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uncle Vic. I know that's like that's a lot to really assess, and I think for me and also most of the young people, they are also young, Uncle Vic. I'm not saying for all of us out there, it's like I think
I'm mentioned. I accept.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think one thing that really strikes me is that you had this conviction that technology would be the next thing. I think some of us, we get very swayed with new shiny objects that come in. Right now in the US is cryptocurrency. It might work, it might not work. And maybe that's just an investment, it's a subset investment asset that people are putting in the hard-earned money at the back. But I really like the fact that you were focused on something and you went through with it, despite the banking industry really, seemingly looking like the place for people to invest in, for people to spend their time and to be trained in it. Can you just explain to me, or maybe is it just a natural talent of yours, or how can someone learn to be focused on something that over time they can have that capability to really get the benefits out of it? Because it seems like you were focused, you had the...
No, you can make that mistake of thinking, oh, it was all me. For me, I don't discount the support I had. I don't discount the family that I came from. a lot of people do not have the luxury to make the choices that I made. Okay. First of all, I knew that, look, you know what, worst case, okay, this was where I will end up. Do you get what I'm saying? You know,
Exactly.
When I was doing that MBA, I didn't know, worst case, I end up working for a bank. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, what made me decide not to work for a bank was when I was doing the MBA. My MBA thesis was on mergers and acquisitions, and my uncle's bank at that time had done most of the M&As in Nigeria.
Yes.
So somebody made a slight statement that these people, instead of them to come in through the front door, they want to come in through the back, pretending they're doing a project. So I said, okay. I just knew that I was always going to be judged based on the performance of my family members in that field. You know, and I said, look, and my uncle always used to tell me, look, I've made my name, you go make yours somewhere else. So, and I took that as a challenge. I said, okay, look, you know what, this is, and I didn't really like banking. You know, I saw things, from the very top, you are seeing things differently from the guy who's at the bottom, who's thinking, you know, I say, okay, look, how many CEOs do you have? You know, how many bankers you have at the bottom? How many people will make it up that ladder? You know, like, you know, the cloak and dagger, the kind of things that you had to do. This was not for me. You understand what I'm saying? Then were they also serving people? I had colleagues who were in banking at that time who were doing deals, you know, they buy houses, they would do, and it wasn't sustainable. I looked at it and I said, okay, this thing, I don't want to do, there's a book I read. Okay, let me go back a bit.
Yes, sure.
When I was in school, what really started everything, there was a book called Winners. I actually have it somewhere here. Because I bought it. Let me see if this is the book.
Yeah.
I finally bought a full copy of it. Yeah.
Entrepreneurs used to build new businesses. Wow.
I read this book, you know, when I was in undergrad, I was reading wild. So it talks about many stories and about entrepreneurship. This book introduced me to the entire concept of entrepreneurship. I didn't know that you could actually start any business. You know, you're there doing undergrad. I read this book. I read about one guy called Bill Gates. He did this. He did. I never even used. You know, to when after the undergrad during national service, when I used the computer for the first time, and I realized, whoa, okay, this is it. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes.
There's a quote in there attributed to Ray Kroc, said nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Say education will not the world full of educated derelicts. You know, like let me see if I can.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote. Yeah, persistence.
Yeah, it said nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. The talent will not. Not is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. This quote was. So I said, look, no matter what I do, if I'm not persistent, you know, it's funny how just reading one book can change your entire outlook. And I said, okay, look, you know what, this thing, if these guys were persistent and they were successful, okay, I have to be persistent in doing this thing I'm doing.
Exactly. Yes.
You know, and that was it. You know, like I believed, you know, like I had more conviction, and I had a safety net. At some point, I did another thing. This is crazy. Even when I was in my MBA, I did 2 interviews with Shell. The first one, yeah, I was late because there was fuel scarcity. So it was just a formality for them to do the interview, and I was just there's a guy they told me who became the CEO of Shell eventually. You know, it's so funny, this story. So I did the interview with him.
Yes.
And he was head of HR. And I asked him a question. So how long have you been in Shell? I think then he had been there for 10 years. Okay. Have you been doing only one thing? He said, yes. And I said, I don't think I want to do only one thing. The guy looked at me as if I was crazy at that time. That's,
Yeah.
So I told him, look. So the second one, called me again. I think you do the aptitude test.
Mm-hmm.
I had very high scores. They called me. Okay, so I went there. This time around, I wasn't late.
Mm-hmm.
But they had mixed up my CV with somebody else's CV. So next day, when I asking me questions in well engineering, I was looking at them. People have the wrong Victor. The guy was shocked. Then I went, okay, finally found the right CV and everything. So okay, now got me. So now this was a very interesting interview, but because the guy who interviewed me, we talked about building products, doing everything. Okay, what methodology are you using? What the guy now told me something. Look, I can give you a job here, but I don't think you're gonna like it. You can best I can do. I can give you a contract rule so that you can get out easily.
Mm-hmm.
That what you're doing now is going to actually be something great. I think what you need to do is learn more about what you are doing, which is where the formal learning and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
The guy told me, go learn more about how to do what you're doing properly.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think you have something, you have a winner here.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him, thank you very much, So they asked me, do you want the contract role? I said, no, I don't want the contract role. You know what I'm saying? So I went back, went totally deep. That's okay, let me learn this thing. Let me understand what's going on. Let me, the thing I did not learn was how to manage people, how to run a business. So that was the hardest part of it. And that kept hitting me. So when I see people now starting businesses, that's why I keep telling them, look, the hardest thing you're ever going to do is not building the app. It's not even selling. It's managing people working for you.
Mm-hmm.
That was the hardest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was made worse by the fact that my co-founder had moved to South Africa. They started a company there, Sagacious. That was also my introduction to payments. They did 25 sites in 17 countries. It was one of the most successful payment products in Africa as at that time. Oh. They even exited to another company called Glotech. They became millionaires very early, but the market crash wiped them out. It has the .com crash. We were supposed to start another company called Cybermint, which my friend Andrew still restarted again later after he left Green Road Bank as a CEO. And they wanted me to come to South Africa to join them. And I was still, my family, my uncle had left banking. I was helping him manage things at home. Let me still see what's happening in Nigeria. Okay. And I was happy I made that decision because that was how I was ground zero for a whole lot of things. Took over a bank, IPO 3 years, started a telco that's one of the biggest in Nigeria, today. Yep. And it was a great experience all around, but I still ended up in tech.
Yes. Yes.
And when I failed, I still had my family to go back. I had my uncle to go work for. Even up till now, if I know that I can never be hungry because I still have that family backing. Yep. So that was actually very, very helpful. It wasn't like, I had this whole thing in me that, yes, this book was great.
Yes.
One of the things I didn't have were mentors. My uncle was as helpful as he was also against starting a business without working first to gain experience, which I now understand all of what he was saying. Because when I'm even backing founders, and I don't back founders who have not had working experience anymore, or who don't understand the domain. Because I ended up making all of the mistakes I should not have made because I didn't Yeah, so I was a pioneer. I was just like the OPay thing I was telling you about. If we had the right backing, we would have done it differently.
Yes.
But that's now a $2 billion business. And this was something we discovered in 2014 by accident. We stumbled. I remember when I went to tried to raise from the States, met a friend of mine, trying to explain this whole agent business to him. He didn't get it. Well, eventually he now told me, instead of you trying to raise money from outside, why don't you raise it locally? The people, those your agents can actually run the business. He said, it was in an hour. Oh, okay. So, which is also something else we're trying to do. But we realized that when we're doing Econet, the licensing round, we raised $285 million in a month, all locally. And yeah, so I realized that there's a whole lot more money in Africa that can be mobilized for startups, but we just don't know how to. The reason how we did that was because HSBC Capital was involved in the process. Now, these are the things I try to learn from all of these people I'm affiliated with now, the funds, the VCs, learn what they're doing and learn how you're going to do it properly in Africa. We should stop being 100% dependent on foreign help. So we could do that. So when the guy told me, yeah, but the thing is, for you to get to that stage, for where your partners now fund the business, that's how Alibaba started anyway. That's Alibaba. What the guy was telling me to do is what Alibaba did.
Exactly.
Because he is an investor who had 18 major investments, 4 of them are unicorns. He's telling me do this, and at that time, if I had a little bit more support, the story would have been totally different. So, which is why now give the guys who are building now a whole lot. We believe that a whole lot more unicorns can be built.
Yes.
From Africa using African money. Not the one that we're currently doing now, looking for money from Silicon Valley.
Yes.
To build companies that are really, really African.
No, thank you so much, Kofi, because I think this helps me, and I think those who will be listening to this episode is that plan B-ish, that you had, is helpful, or you can find people that can really be the support network for you to really get things going. And I think that's what you're doing with the investment and mentor network, by providing that investment for people to thrive, which I think is really important, that people should understand that. I think the second piece that you mentioned was having that experience, like learning somewhere, people management, learning how to manage others, maybe also learning how to manage yourself, which I just want to touch a little bit on that. Is how do you, you have done all these incredible startups and all that. How have you been able to be sane, to maintain your sanity through this process? Because it's not easy. It's not easy.
That's a phenomenal question, because one of the things that I learned to do was to have other interests. If you keep focusing on one thing, I see a lot of people are so single-minded. They keep doing this. There's this something that I've found quite interesting. I need to gather more data about it, but the most successful founders I have met either have strong community affiliations that they're like church or or something else. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? That they take very seriously. That's their other life, different from the running the venture itself. Okay, so I we are meeting, nothing in this world will make him miss it. You know what I'm saying? So he switches off. He's a pastor and everything, but he's also running a business.
Yes.
He runs one of the most successful real estate businesses in Nigeria.
Wow.
The guy, when it's time, he switches. You know, there's no, you know, you can't force him to. So, and that has helped him a lot. Okay. For me, I started learning certain things on social media. You know, people look at, oh, how come you have so and so number of people? I started learning how to build new types of communities on social media. You know, like in fact, there's something I did which I don't talk about. People don't. I built 5 years ago. We built a dating community on social media. People have been married. No, from that group, it's unbelievable. Like, you know, people are wondering how, why. I say no, like it's an experiment. And you know, why don't you build a product from? I say no, please. I don't. It's not everything you build products from. You know what I'm saying? I started one on food. And people, no, build. So build. Look, I don't want to build anything. I just want us to just share things about food, do things that make us happy. You know what I'm saying? You know, our friends my friend Kenneth is here, came to visit. His own is biking and running. So he took his bike out now, went for a spin, wants to go up the mountain here and all of that.
Wow.
Those things are very, very important.
Exactly.
You know, like you should have other things that you're passionate about beyond your business.
Exactly.
I have young kids now, and I'm also very, very passionate about everything about them, how they are growing. Funny thing is, there's a way all of these things end up being linked.
Yeah.
So if you are passionate about it, you know, you learn lessons from there. Like watching my kids grow, I'm learning a whole lot about, okay, what kind of products will be relevant in the future? You know, the kind of things that they're interested in now. I'm looking at them and I'm saying, okay, these guys, you know, they are the future market. So if you don't pay attention now, if you don't, like, my cousin, this is crazy. My cousin, when he was 14, he was the one that sent me my first Google invite. He was still in school. He knew what Google was. He was the one that sent me to Facebook. You know, he was 14 at that time. You know, although he's now in private equity, he's in his 30s now and all of that. So it was a teenager who made me aware that, okay, look, this thing is going to be. I work very closely with Google now. I'm doing a whole lot of things with them. But it was just one 14-year-old that sent me my email invite. So I don't understand that. I don't joke with children and teenagers. I listen to them a lot. People think that, oh no, they are innocent. No, they are the future market. So I pay attention to them a lot.
Sound like one of your tweets.
It's true.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't, you know, like when people talk, you don't know where things are going to come from. You know, like one of the things I have learned about innovation and building things in this world is that it's not about conventional wisdom. You know, if it was conventional wisdom, a lot of things would never be built.
Exactly.
Okay. A lot of people tell you, "Oh no, it's not possible." Like what I've seen with young children, they don't. The word impossible doesn't exist to them.
Exactly.
You know, the way they figure things out, and I look at them, wow, you know, they just throw themselves at it and they figure things out. Exactly. My son, the things that he does sometimes. Oh, how did you learn how to do this? I just thought about it. You know. So I said, okay, so keep thinking about things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, exactly. I mean, just for us to because I think we're coming to just trying to have like the main takeaways here. So I think you've really outlined the importance of, you know, finding something aside from entrepreneurship for people that are really, you know, deep down working on really amazing stuff, can really, you know, find a way to maintain themselves, right? And kind of grow themselves. Just coming up with what is something that, you know, young people are listening to you, and, you know, you have a great following on Twitter, which I follow. I love your Twitter tweets. What is something that, especially those here that work at, finish MBA programs. I'm in Boston, have this Harvard, MIT people, go back to IBM and all that. What should they know about Africa? Because one thing I'm really striving for, especially through this podcast, is trying to get these folks back home, trying to get them back, trying to help them start tech companies. What is something that they should really know, that no, you don't have to, you get the work experience, but really start planning ways to start an entrepreneurial venture. At the Institute, we'll say market creative innovation, but I know you have the on-the-ground experience. What is something that what is that information they're missing about Africa? You have built really good Pan-African companies, and yes, you're doing well. And I think we have this ideology that if you stay in the US, you'll be fine. If you stay in abroad, you'll be fine. But what is something that they're missing about the opportunity in Africa that we're not seeing, or we're not paying attention to?
I was one of the first people to, before the whole Africa Rising thing, I was one of the I used to travel to America and try to convince. There were people forget, like this brain drain happened, and people forget that it happened in the 90s. My sister left, her husband left. I had a lot of relatives, people my age who had left. That was another thing. My best man, everybody, they all moved abroad, but I didn't. And at that time I was the outlier. I looked totally mad. To remain. Like I was in a field where, like when my co-founder said, "Come to South Africa," at that time, a lot of Nigerians, after apartheid ended, a lot of Nigerians moved to South Africa. A lot of my friends are still there till today. A lot of them went to America. A lot of them, so there was a big exodus in the late 90s at that time, and the early 2000s. So, because my sister left, was 1999, I think. And she was a computer scientist. So a lot of people moved, and they just got into the system. Now, I remember when I was now going to go do my master's in 2005 in England. I was telling my cousin, okay, look, he was asking, okay, what's the end game? I was saying, because funny thing, he still runs the fund in England. So I told him, look, okay, maybe, this business, I don't know what's going to be like, I'm just under a whole lot of pressure, left, right, and center. I just want to do that. What if everything goes wrong, I have a job to fall back. The guy asked me, okay, look, do you realize that this is a rat race? You want to enter, that you managed to escape this rat race. You want to come back to like chasing credits, doing all of that. So I listened to him, and I remember at Sheffield when we because you're supposed to be a 6-month internship after the course. So they selected 2 of us to I think it was Capgemini, for the consulting company that So those guys saw my name. They didn't know that I was Black. So eventually, like the way I was treated was very different from the way the other guy who was white. Like it was then I just said, you know what? This is it. I think I'm better off going to go create something, in Africa. There's a guy, Paul Nwanibe, I don't know if you guys can actually get him, if first I can get him to do a talk.
Yeah.
Paul, he started Landmark. He
Wow.
to his, listen to his YouTube, TEDx talk, it's on YouTube, where he talked about, how you start, that Africa is actually the easiest place for you to build a brand as an African. There are a whole lot of things that are much easier for you to do as an African. number one, you have to find partners. You can't do this thing alone. Number two, don't think that you have more sense than the people who are already local. Then you can also have good partners and bad partners too as well. Because I've had all of them. I've had good partners, I've had bad partners. I've had people who I thought were good partners who eventually became bad partners. So yeah, so that is the reality of Africa. It's not, we shouldn't sugarcoat it and say, oh look, it's all like sugar and spice and everything nice. No, Africa is hard, but the thing is, the opportunities are outside. If you know that what you are doing is, or what you plan to do, is something that you truly believe in, that can actually make the difference.
Yes.
For me, because I was home when every other person left, I knew a whole lot more than about the markets than what they did. Okay, but the funny thing is this: when those people were coming back, it was much easier for them to bring in money with them. It was much easier for money to follow them. So that's the advantage of being in diaspora and getting experience in diaspora. It's much easier for capital to follow you. My friend Dotun, he said something that, look, people don't realize that, we can say what we want about Africa Rising being a failure, but that narrative actually helped a lot of money to follow talent from the diaspora back to Africa to fund a lot of the things that's we're seeing today. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. People were more comfortable when you see somebody. Okay, this guy went to Waterloo. Okay, this guy went to Harvard. So, or this guy went to Stanford. It's much easier for you to relate with that. So this boy, University of Benin, which was another reason why I had to go to Harlem too as well. Like I said, people are looking at me. Hey, look, University of Benin. Nobody. Who is this guy? So there's an advantage in being there. Yeah? There's also a big disadvantage in also not knowing. I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. The first mistake I saw was people thinking, oh, they are low-hanging fruits. You just come. I chatted with somebody last week.
Yes.
He went on about, how he's hiring developers in locally. He had this idea. I said, look, these people are just going to eat your money. Because have you done the design? Have you done this? Have you done that?
Yeah.
He has a great job outside. He just believes that, okay, he just, if I can hire a few developers, they'll do this product and everything will just be. So, no, that's not how you have you done user research? Have you designers? Have you done? I just told him, I don't want to hear your ideas. I'm just looking at your process. It's already wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So, there is a lot that both sides can do. Okay? There are also a lot. I remember when I was trying to raise. My father died because of healthcare issues in Nigeria, and I left Nigeria because of health. Yeah. And I said, okay, why don't I try to solve this healthcare problem? Where I have a lot of friends, my best man, lots of my very good friends, my family members who were very, very well-to-do doctors abroad. So why don't I get these guys to put money together so that we can actually do a fund to actually fund African healthcare? You know what they told me? So why would if we fund this thing, who's going to run it? And I said, why would I start putting money in things that the people who are learning from there want to leave? I had an answer for them at that time, but now I have an answer for them because, it's better for you to create that pipeline and not make money, than for you to let others do it. Exactly. And all of them are now realizing, I know a guy who comes to do hip replacement surgeries in Nigeria, and he's making a clip. He makes more money from doing that than his regular job, in the US. So, but the thing is that he comes with his equipment, with his nurses, and all of that. So there are people who have now learned that they can take what they've learned over there and come bring it to the markets where for what people need, and actually, but they just need a staging area. They need they need local. Like the guy who was doing those surgeries, he's doing it in partnership with local hospitals.
Exactly.
He didn't build a hospital to start doing all of it. Okay. So you need to have local partners. You need to understand what you are getting yourself into. It's not something that a lot of people want to come make a fortune. You have to have a builder's mindset. Okay, do you want to build or not? If you don't want to build, please stay in your job over there and be making all the money. Leave the Unibank people to be building.
Exactly. Honestly, that's really good to know. And actually, I think a lot of people will appreciate that. A lot of people appreciate that, especially coming from you. So it carries a lot of weight. I have some friends that they build stuff. They have apps and stuff, or they want to solve, education in Africa. They'll build an app, and from here, and they'll be like, "Oh, we hired some people in Kenya to run the app and stuff." And what you just mentioned about processes, it's just it's not gonna work.
James Clear said that you don't rise to your goals; you fall to the level of your systems. Like it's so fundamental in everything you're building in Africa. If the system, you can have all the lofty goals about what you want to do. If the systems are not there to support it, it collapses very, very quickly. So a lot of people don't make the effort to actually build the systems to actually allow things to if your systems are as high as your goals, then you reach your goals. So that's just it.
That's amazing. So you have recommended this amazing book you read when you were in college, Winners.
Yes. No, but it's an old book. It's this book is 1985. People come. I'll say it again now, and I'll say, "Whoa, this guy!" I'm not sure the guy is still alive, Carter Henderson. But he wrote this thing, and I'm looking at it, and it's still so relevant
today.
When people keep saying, "Oh, write a book," I don't know what they were talking about because this is changing. And Efosa's book is going to change a whole lot of people too as well because he wrote it. He just looked at what people had already done, and he synthesized it into a book. And I didn't know how how much of an effect it had on me until one day I asked myself, where did all of this come from? Why am I doing this? Okay, is that book I read when I was in college?
Subconscious.
So I had to find the book again and buy it. It was in the library then. So I said, look, I never forgot the book. So I bought it. So I started reading it again, and I was saying, whoa, this guy, like over 30 years, it's still the same message.
The message. That's so important. So Uncle Vic, you have to write a book. You have to write a book.
Yeah, no, I know. I agree with that. But,
the
books are part of the system that I'm talking about that you build upon.
Exactly.
Because if you knowledge, people underrate knowledge. Oh, these people went to school. No. Like for me, I've learned that it's the foundation of a lot of things. I don't think I would have achieved, a tenth of what I achieved if I didn't keep seeking knowledge. Like so I had to go, say, okay, look, let me go. My uncle was a very, very big influence when it comes to that. He did the course at Oxford, did another one at Harvard, did this. He kept doing all of these courses, and I saw his material. I kept reading. He had I have a library here now. Like I encourage people to just come and just get lost there because people wonder, why do you still have a lot of physical books? Yeah, those things helped me a lot. My uncle had this library. My first job after school was helping him to organize the library. So in doing that, and I was reading, like when I was young, my first experience, my mother was in this school where she was in charge of the library. She used to leave me in the library. I 4, 5, I started reading very early. I started reading at age 3. People go, because I was always in books. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was quite helpful for me to, like, you are looking at, they say somebody's experience for 25 years, person can condense it in a book. So when you've read those things, it's very easy for you to now relate things that are happening to you in real life. Oh, okay, yeah, I read this. This guy said this. Oh, I read that. This guy said that. And like the James Clear example I gave is from his book Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Atomic Habits, yeah.
No, that's a phenomenal. If you want me to recommend, I recommend that book now. People should read that, because Atomic Habits, like these are things that you've experienced until somebody now puts it there all together. Yes. I didn't know. This is something that I've learned that we Africans don't know how to do. We don't know how to articulate ourselves properly. There was the thing. One book I was thinking I would write, because like we speak in proverbs. People don't understand seriously, how important those proverbs. There are certain things that I will experience. I can relate to it better with a proverb, because that's when we were growing up. That's how our elders were telling us things. So I was saying, how will you relate proverbs to business situations? How can you really worry proverbs? To certain business situations. In fact, that's a book, probably the first book I'll write, because I sat down and I was saying, okay, because there are a lot of things that like when tree near tree, that monkey is smart. So people tell you, they tell you that proverb, realize, oh, okay, and this is real wisdom. Yes. So what does that mean? Like, people think they are smart, but it's just that the trees are closer to each other. That's why you can jump from one place to the other. It's not that you understand what I'm saying? So, but how do you put that in a way that people will understand? I think the way we should articulate these things is we have to put it in language that our people will understand. Exactly. That's the kind of, if I'm writing a book, I'm writing a book for Africans, and I'm going to want to write it in a way like actually writing Things Fall Apart.
Yes.
He wrote it for 2 audiences. He wrote it, because we could understand everything we could relate to what he was writing.
Exactly. Exactly.
And others now learn more about, okay, these guys had this deep culture.
Yes.
We've also had this very deep culture when it comes to business. Igbo people have this Imo here. Imo here is the first business accelerator in the world. There are a lot of things that we think that did not exist, that already existed, that we knew before. In cryptocurrency, they are doing DAOs now. What are DAOs? They are cooperatives. We've had cooperatives. In fact, the dominant business model in Africa is cooperatives.
Yes.
But now there are people in crypto are discovering it as DAOs. I'm laughing. We already.
That's true. That's true. I'm more than looking forward to your book, because it makes sense. The proverbs.
Seriously, because I've thought of it. It's how we articulate.
Yes.
Somebody was asking one question today: do people really read books, or they're just bragging that they read? I said that's the problem. A lot of people don't read books, but they don't understand it. When I'm reading a book, I take my time. Try to understand. Like right now, I'm reading Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. Like I've read one chapter 3 times, and I've got 3 different from that chapter. So I was like, what he's saying is the way our relationship with money and is much more, it's more psychological and cultural.
Yes.
Than we think. And I'm asking myself, okay, so this is something he discovered in America. How do you relate that? What is the psychology of money in Africa?
Circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. How do you relate? How does that happen? So why I did this Ake book fair. I had a panel where we discussed about wealth. So myself and three other ladies, when we that talk, I was mad. I was just saying, look, you know what? It's not propagated well enough. You know, we should actually have more conversations around that. What is our understanding of wealth? What is our understanding? You know, like the biggest problems we have is that we have the wrong role models, and we have the wrong narratives about how wealth is built. They fall for Ponzi schemes. That's why, you know, this whole prosperity thing, people are, you know, like wealth is not built by magic.
Yes.
Wealth is built by process. And those processes are things that we have to now start making people learn and make people understand.
Exactly.
And processes and systems, you know, are things that we have to start learning to put in place. Exactly. And we have to speak it in ways that they will understand.
Understand, exactly. I mean, a lot of people fall for these pyramid schemes and all that. Quick money. Uncle Vic, I wanted to call you Dr. Vic. The wisdom is great here. So just to round up, I sincerely want to thank you for this time. I wish I could spend a longer time with you, but no, just to respect the time. I'm just super grateful, and I think the people who are listening will be very satisfied and more than grateful for you sharing these amazing stories. Just to close up, what do you and I ask every listener, what do you want your legacy to be? I know you have many things going on. What is your legacy you want for Uncle Vic?
Yeah, you know, there's this Jay-Z song I love so much, Young Forever. No. I love that song. There's a place he said something about, look, his name will go on for generations, like, you know, the barber shop. He wants people to say, okay, this guy, young guy, he grew up from here. See, this is what he was able to achieve, okay? Now, I want people to have confidence in themselves. Yeah, I'm product of you know, Uniben, product of St. Joseph Primary School. I was able to achieve it. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like Tolu was a product of Ekpoma. He didn't go to any Harvard. You know, I admire that guy. So, you know, yeah, he was able to do the impossible. You know, he's somebody that, you know, his narrative, his stories, people don't. The way they say it, you know, I really don't like it, because like one of the things I have seen, and I've seen it also with some family members, when they achieve some level of success, they try to erase their past. They try to, you know, people try to retell their past. Yes. You know, okay, because you are now in some. He went to Ambrose Ali University at Coma. He wasn't given a chance. You know, he was like the Gordon Gekko of, you know, of Nigerian banking. Nobody expected him to come and own one of the biggest banks in Nigeria. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the kind of story I want people to say, okay, this guy, Benin Boy, you know, Benin Boy achieved this. that's my Benin Boy achieved what they did not believe that Benin Boy would achieve. You know, I'm very grateful for that.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to empower more people back home to also do the same thing.
Sure. I mean, Uncle Vic, I would say you're doing that already. Your impact goes wide and broad. And I'm honored and humbled to know you.
Thank you so much.
Such a privilege to learn from you and continue learning from you on Twitter. I'll put all your handles in the description, the YouTube video that you mentioned. And I'm really, really, you know, blessed to have you in Africa doing what you're doing and being a light for the continent and for for the black people and for generations to come. So thank you so much, Uncle Vic. Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks so much. I really enjoyed this too as well.
Thank you so much. I wish you could go on and on. I could keep on going. This is my longest episode so far. So to all the listeners, this is Victor Asemota, an investor and entrepreneur in Africa, started multiple companies, also a mentor as well, and he's just doing some incredible stuff. And I'll put all the descriptions, his LinkedIn profile and everything in the description.
Not a problem.
So Uncle Vic, see you next time.
Thanks so much. All right. Bye.
Take care.